Smile, John. Go.
Good evening. It's Thursday, June 26, 2025, and we're in Studio 10C. It's my pleasure and distinct honor to speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
I heard you had a visitor today.
Yeah,
Who was that?
Amber.
Wow, that's a wonderful girl. Amber must come visit you 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
She's a nice girl. What was she been doing?
Well, she's housekeeping. She's
Okay.
cleaning houses.
Uh-huh.
And we told her not to do it. She's doing it.
All right. What did you and her today do together?
You what?
What did you and her do today together?
Church?
What did you do today with Amber?
What did we do with Amber?
Yeah.
We didn't do much. What did we do?
Did you go to church today?
We went to church, yeah, which is
Yes.
ridiculous, that church.
Why?
Well, I can't understand, I can't stand that deacon at all.
Was he speaking Latin?
No, he's mumbling.
Mumbling. Okay. Well, we'll have to look into that. But how are you feeling today?
Very good, very good.
And did you have a nice dinner?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Those chickens were good.
Well, you're looking
Messy, but good.
really good. And it's nice that you're looking well today. And Amber was with you for several hours. Amber, by the way, is Mr. Jekovich's great-granddaughter. She's only in her 20s. What a beautiful girl. She's got great empathy and love for all. She travels the world as a full-time missionary with a Bible in her left hand and a surfboard in another. There hasn't been a spot that she hasn't been to in this world, and she sure does enjoy surfing and spreading the word of the Lord. She's got great empathy, and empathy is what the world needs today. Empathy is the glue to civilization. Empathy is the glue to humanity. Without empathy, you basically have nothing. So in all, you had a good day, huh?
Yeah.
Of course, we have hundreds of texts to read, but do you want me to get a couple pages under our belt of your book?
Yeah.
So we can at least get a couple pages. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Yeah, today is a gift. Wow. Boys and girls, it's a short dance around the sun. I can't stress that more. It's a short dance around the sun. Mr. Jeckovich said a couple weeks ago that he blinked at the age of 20 and now he's 100. Unbelievable. It went by fast. Where'd those 80 years go?
Huh?
Where'd those 80 years go?
Yeah.
Hard to understand. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We're reading Mr. Jekovich's book titled Their Mother's Sons. How many pages is it?
849.
849, wow. 849. I know when you wrote the book you didn't use Google. I know when you wrote the book you didn't use a laptop computer. What'd you use?
Yellow pages.
Yellow legal pads, yeah. Mr. Jeckovich was born in 1925, and now here we are in 2025, and Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100. Mr. Jeckovich is very active. He is very active. He reads 3 newspapers in the morning, plenty of magazines on top of it, mostly business manuals. He reads including the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. An interesting point, he's 100 years old, and he's still learning. He's still learning. And he reads all these newspapers every morning. You know how fine print they are. He reads them every morning with no glasses. Could you imagine that? And Mr. Jeckovich's great-great-grandson was in visiting him a couple of weeks ago, and he shook his hand and knocked the little boy to the ground. He still's got a powerful grip. So don't write him off because he's 100. He's working on his second book. He's in the formative stages of his second book. So you're working harder now than you probably ever have, right?
Yeah.
You're working hard. Mr. Jeckovich's mind is like a library. You can answer any questions honestly and humbly. Anyone who wants to text him or call him. His number is 407-366-0000. Is your book for sale?
No.
No.
24 minutes.
The book is not for sale. It's never been about money. He's got plenty of money. There's one copy of the book that's in the World War II History Museum in New Orleans. And the book is basically a roadmap for younger people to have a simpler and more wholesome life. That's all it is. Have a simpler and more wholesome life. And out of his 849 pages, he sets a lot of examples. Anything from A to Z. Any question you want to ask him, even say, let's just say marriage. How long were you married for?
69 years.
Yeah, what better person to ask than someone that's been married 69 years? That's absolutely amazing. Wow. Unfortunately, last year in Florida, there was 90,000 divorces. How come?
Money.
Yeah, you're a smart man. Yeah, the poor young couples, he's working 2 jobs and she's working 2 or 3 jobs, and then by the time you pay a babysitter, at the end of the week you're still broke. At the end of the week you're still broke. We've been thinking of easy businesses with very little investments for these people younger people to get into. We shot out a few last week. We don't have any suggestions today of type of businesses, but we just want to say to be an entrepreneur and get out of the 9-to-5 work job you're in now. Think of some business that you like, that you could start with little or no money. Husband and wife do it together. Start making some money and then just keep duplicating it. You'll find out it's extremely easy to make money once you find that one thing, one service, one product that you enjoy doing, and then just keep duplicating. And then later in life you'll be having a lot of money, and then you'll find out, it's very true, you'll find out later once you made a lot of money in your businesses, it's harder to keep your money than to make it. That's what we'll later find out. So we'll always come up with some type of suggestions, because right now, 90,000 divorces in Florida. Mr. Jeckovich hit the nail on the head because it's money. These young people are working and they're still broke. That's called grinding it out. No one wants to live their life. It goes by quickly by grinding it out. You don't want to grind it out. Find something your husband and wife like to do together. Keep duplicating it, make money, and enjoy your life. But this 9-to-5 and then 6-to-10, 2 jobs is not worth it. By grinding it out, it's only going to make you old, and it's only going to make you broke. It's only going to make you old and only keep you broke. That's a fact. So no more grinding it out. Try to do something. We come up with some ideas that you can get into for a little money and no investment. We'll keep on throwing them out there. Well, I'm going to try to read at least 2 pages of your book. I'll need the passcode.
42965.
Okay. We're on chapter 7, and this is titled Overseas and Beyond. Overseas and Beyond. And what's interesting about this is the second time around we read the book. So we said it's not for sale. Of course it's not. But if you listen to Mr. John Jeckovich's podcast, There's 600 of them, and we start from chapter 1, page 1, we go to 849, so you can all listen to them for free.
20 minutes.
It won't cost you a thing. What's that?
20 minutes.
Okay. So here we are, 165. Mr. Jeckovich is getting close to getting on the troop ship. What was that troop ship like?
Crowded.
How about the bunks?
Tree high.
How was the food?
It was limey, it's terrible.
What do you mean by limey food? Why was it terrible?
English.
So what was wrong with it?
Greasy.
Okay. Did it make everybody sick?
No, I guess not.
Okay. Here we go. Let's put a couple pages under our belt because we've been really slacking here. Let's put a couple pages. So we're getting ready to go on a troop ship, setting out to European theater. But before you got on the troop ship, you were highly worried that you might have been sent to the Pacific, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now you know. Once you got on that troop ship, you knew you weren't going.
You were going west, not going east.
Yeah, you're going right to the
ETO.
Okay. An alert signified the intent, the logistical problems involved in moving 20 to 30,000 troops were huge and mind-boggling. And one thing the Army did not want to do under these circumstances was hunt down individuals or groups. When it was time to move out, they wanted you all here and ready to go as expeditiously as possible. So when it's counting down, everyone had to stay in the barracks, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't go wandering around.
And they were frozen in.
They were on strict time schedule, and they did not want to be on the lookout for half the division. So everyone had to stay put.
Yeah.
The barracks were a mess, clothing strewn about, newspapers on the floor, and worst of all, the latrines were in bad shape, as they had not been policed in several days. The PWs were assigned to the barracks cleanups. PWs, that prisoner of war?
Yeah, PWs, yeah, prisoner
were
of war.
assigned to barracks cleanup for the past few days, but evidently who was in charge of the detail had shirked and eluded their duties. After chow that night, Lape and I went to the PX, and for no other reason than to get out of the barracks. There were card and dice games throughout the barracks, so someone was always playing cards and dice.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
Oh.
No. And there was those who were not gambling were raising hell in another way. I was hoping we could have gotten rid of Spotsta and Gaffney by now. Spotsta and Gaffney were troublemakers?
Yeah. Loud mouth.
Big mouth. But their transfer orders had not come through. Getting rid of those two would be quite an accomplishment, to say the least. Well, at the PX, I found out the public phones were disconnected, so the Army even disconnected your phones.
Yeah.
You couldn't even call. Hence, no outside calls. They want you guys in that barracks, and when it's ready to go, 20 or 30,000 men, you're all there and you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was disappointed and tried to think of some other way to get in touch with Ann. As Lape and I sat there at the PX listening to the country music, we talked about the prospects of moving out of camp. He stated that he had forewarned his parents of the impending move and had talked to them about it when he went on furlough. Naturally, they were sympathetic and concerned and wished him all the best. He decided to wait until we're on board a ship to tell them of our move. I advised him that I did not think you could say you were on board a ship. So that was censored too. You couldn't tell the outside world anything. Or even you're in transit. I also cautioned him, as of now, all our mail will be censored, and anything classified will be stricken by the censors. As I talked to Lape, the thought suddenly came to me that with all the transfers and movements out of divisions, why had the powers that left Lape here? Wow. Since more capable and adaptable men had been transferred out, I did not understand their logic. In the same light, why they had left Sergeants Whalen and Rupert in the division. How was Sergeant Whalen?
An older guy, he's a good guy.
How was Sergeant Rupert?
Older yet.
Okay.
He didn't go overseas though.
He didn't go.
No.
If I thought about it long enough, I began to wonder why they really had in mind for this division. Just thinking about it made me uneasy and apprehensive. At that moment, Sergeant Flood, how was Sergeant Flood?
He's a young guy, he's a good guy, yeah.
At that moment, Sergeant Flood came by and sat at our table. He informed us we had done an exemplary job at the warehouse and supply room. And then he asked me if I gotten in touch with my party in Owensboro. I was surprised and touched by his interest and said all the phones were disconnected and I have no way of getting through. He leaned over and in a half whisper told me to come to the orderly room at 2300 hours tonight as he was CQ. What's CQ?
Charge of quarters.
Oh wow. And would give me an outside phone line. I thanked him and said that it was most thoughtful and gracious of him to give me the opportunity to call out. He smiled and slapped me on the shoulder and left. That night after returning from the PX, I waited out on the back porch until the time came to call Ann. The barracks were still too noisy and it would continue that way until lights out. I was hoping we would ship out soon as this disorganization and turmoil was nerve-wracking to say the least, yeah. A lot of nonsense going on that night.
Yeah.
A little after 2300 hours, I entered the orderly room. Sergeant Flood was sitting behind the desk and greeted me cordially. He explained to me how to use the switchboard and he got an outside line. He then left the room saying it would be in the general area if I needed help. I pulled out an upper trunk lines from the console on the switchboard and connected it to the jack to the terminal. A red light went on above it and I was using a headset with a speaker and an earpiece attached. I plugged it into the jack into the terminal at the bottom of the board. There was a small rotary affixed to the top tabletop of the switchboard and I just dialed Ann's number. I was surprised to hear her pleasant voice. She surprised and a little bewildered, but half suspecting of what I was about to convey to her. I then told her that we would be shipping out directly and this would be my last phone call I could be able to make to her. I also said that I was sorry if I caused her any anxiety or distress while we were together and that I loved her very much and I would miss her greatly. I could hear her sobbing as softly as she was desperately trying to control herself. She said she knew that I'd be calling her for just that, and we were leaving camp and been anticipating my call the past several days. She told me that she loved me very much and that I never caused her one moment of concern or anything of that nature. She would miss me and told me to take care and write as soon as possible. She again repeated she loved me and I could hear her trying to control her tears as she talked. I said I would write to her as soon as possible and I could and would think of her constantly and remember all the good times we had together. I repeated that I loved her and would miss her and then sadly said goodbye. Sitting on the switchboard for a minute, I thought of our conversation and what it meant to each of us. I disconnected the jacks, put the headset on the board, and walked out of the room. I thanked Sergeant Flood for all his kindness, and then said that saying goodbye was the toughest part of being a soldier. I smiled and waved goodnight, walked down the steps of the orderly room, and headed toward the barracks. The next morning, we were to receive several shots, meet with the adjunct office to update our will, allotment, and dependency forms, and get our haircut for the last time at this camp. The rest of the day was free time with the exception of chow, which was reduced to the barest essentials, as everything in a mess hall had been created and shipped out. They were operating a field kitchen unit, and it was inadequate for the function it had to perform. That night was hectic at the barracks, as the people sensed our time was drawing near for our departure. Some had shaved their heads into many bizarre and contorted ways, and some were growing beards, also bizarre.
Yeah, they went crazy. They went crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would the Army allow a beard?
Pardon?
Did the Army allow a beard? Would an Army allow a beard then?
Beards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that kind of a beard.
But what about, you said they had their hair shaved. What did that look like? You said in strange ways.
The what?
Listen, it said they had shaved their heads into many bizarre and contorted.
Oh, they're rolling up the balloons and everything else. They were going crazy. They were going crazy.
Somehow beer and liquor had found their way into the area and were distributed around the barracks for all who wanted to partake of their festive qualities. Romano, our platoon aid man, had leaped up with Spots and Gaffney and several other fireballs. They were whooping up through the barracks. They were inflating condoms with water and having water fights with them while drinking and shouting, oblivious to anyone or anything.
Yeah, they were crazy.
So they were raising hell.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they would not get my bunk wet, as there was no change of bedding available. Lights out is passed with no apparent let-up in the commotion, and several of us retired to the back porch and endured the cold October air rather than stay inside. Finally, Sergeant Grouper came through and told the participants they had 10 more minutes of their riotous living, and then it would be the end of it. Sergeant Flood came through after the allotted time and turned off all the barracks lights. It was 0200. Things quieted down after that, and we finally got to our bunks. Before Sergeant Flood left the barracks, he took me aside and said that he was leaving in the morning. I was astonished and greatly disappointed, for I considered him a friend, and a distant friend, as he was a non-com, and I was the only.
They didn't ship out.
He didn't ship out.
They didn't ship out. He goes to another camp. Yeah. I don't know how they worked that.
Yeah.
All the experienced men, they didn't take overseas. They ship them out someplace else.
He told me I'd be transferred to the honor guard at the Arlington National Cemetery in Washington.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, honor guard. And I did not know what to say. I was dismayed at leaving and counted on his support and knowledge. And when we got overseas, we shook hands and he told me to take care of myself and that I would make out all right. I knew the score, as I know the score, and then I would come back to marry that girl in Owensboro. As I tried to fall asleep after receiving Sergeant Flood's devastating news about leaving, I thought how most, if not all, the original guys would be gone. The only ones left were Sergeant Rupert, Whalen, and T5 Eckert. All the officers were gone.
Yeah, they're all gone.
Everyone didn't go overseas.
They go to another camp. They didn't go overseas.
Sergeant
All the 33s are going.
33s is the code for teenage fighters. Sergeant Flood was transferred the last minute, and all the squad leaders were newly appointed. Again, I felt uneasy as I thought of this and the old habit of comparing classmates in school. Coming rushing back, I wondered where I'd ultimately wind up in the scheme of things. Well, that's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
They didn't go overseas to fight, but they
No,
stayed in the
it's all the
States.
33s.
As you know, we have tons of text messages. Do you want me to continue reading, or do you want to go through a
I
couple?
don't know, read them, yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here. What were the minutes?
4:45.
When you were in World War II, did you like to meet new people?
Yeah,
You did? After World War II, have you ever been in a fight?
no.
No. You know, you don't have a Polish accent. How come?
Well, but my parents talk English. They said, you're in England, you're in America, you talk English.
Your father said it's a strict order. When we're at home
English,
At
English
30,
is talked. English is talked.
at 3063 Orleans Avenue, you don't speak Russian, you don't speak Polish, you speak only English.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't have an accent.
Yeah,
Otherwise, did you know a lot of people on your street that have Polish accents?
yeah, because they talk their regular language.
During the war, have you ever wielded a sword?
A sword?
Were you ever given a sword?
No, no.
Wow. Wow. I know you had a lot of cars during your lifetime, but what is your dream car?
What?
I know you had a lot of cars during your lifetime, but what is your dream car? What kind of car do you like the best?
Volkswagen.
Okay. Is that standard shift on the floor?
Yeah.
Tell us what type of heat they had in Volkswagens.
Yeah, faster you went to go, more heat you had.
So if you set it idle, you froze.
Yeah.
I see. Wow. The world is changing drastically, and you came from the greatest generation of all times. Tough guys. You know, guys that did what they said they were going to do. Fighters. True warriors. Times have changed. How do you feel today when you see different guys today, not then? How do you feel today when you see guys wearing pink clothes?
They'll never make it in the war.
Okay,
When they can't depend on them.
okay. During your time as a teenager in World War II, did you ever do karaoke?
No.
No. You're 100 years old now, Mr. Jeckovich. Did you vote in every election?
Yeah, no, not everyone, not everyone.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you feel up to going to court and be a jurist, be a jury duty?
A what?
Would you be up to doing jury duty?
They call you up, they'll call you up. You have
want
to
to go to
go.
jury duty?
No,
No, okay.
they'll call you up, you gotta go.
You would still go?
Well, we're gonna do it, they'll throw you in jail.
So you would go to jury duty if they called you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Wow, yeah. Uh-huh. In the last 10 years, have you ever used the Yellow Pages?
Yellow pages?
Yeah. Yellow Pages phone book?
No.
No. Are you an overachiever or a perfectionist?
Oh, a what?
Are you an overachiever or a perfectionist?
Overachiever.
Okay.
20 seconds.
Wow. Another one in the books, you did pretty well today.
Yeah.
Wow. What you want to do now?
Put on Trump.
You want me to put that movie on for you?
Yeah, I'll look it up again
Yeah,
tomorrow.
put on the Los Angeles. Put on the Rice.